Okay, I think we're ready to get started with the Finance Committee of the Brownsville Public Utilities Board. It's February 25th, 4 o'clock. We're here at the Annex Building. We do have I'd like to call the meeting to order. We do have a quorum, and we'll start with any public comments.
No public comments.
Okay, and we'll continue to our items for presentation and discussion. We have 5 items. The first item, presentation discussion of the Brownsville Public Utilities Board Financial Performance Report for the period ended January 30th, 2026.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. So my name is Mike Perez. I'm the Chief Financial Officer, and I'll be presenting the Financial Performance Report as of January 31st, 2026. So here we have the executive summary, which focuses on 7 metrics that we are monitoring. Each has its own gauge meter, with red representing poor, yellow average, and green good. So our first metric here is the flow of funds. BPUB did generate $2,394,000 to replenish the improvement fund, representing a debt service coverage of 1.96 times, which is well above the 1.25 times minimum requirement. The fuel purchase and energy charge has generated an over recovery of $21.22 million as of January 31st, and this will be used to offset any future market uncertainty. The rate for January was set at 3.862 cents per kWh. The COB cash transfer came in $220,000 over budget, and that was due to a lower FPEC rate this month compared to the same period last year. We got personnel and non-personnel expenses. Those came in $1.85 million under budget, primarily due to some current vacancies and timing issues. BPUB's average bill is lower than both the average MOU bill and the average IOU bill for the 1,000 kWh residential user. So that average bill is at $99.69. The under CIP, year-to-date actuals and committed totaled $17.9 million and $31 million respectively, which represented 54.5% of the fiscal year 26 approved plan. And then the last metric here, all key financial metrics are currently in compliance. Here we've got a condensed statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in net position. This was prepared in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. I'll be reporting on the January 2026 column. So we got operating revenues year to date of $73,540,000. We back out operating expenses of $64,253,000 and arrive at operating income of $9,287,000. We then back out the non-operating expenses of $6,589,000 and arrive at income before capital contributions of $2,697,000. Adding in capital contributions of $4,875,000, we end up with an increase in net position year to date of $7,573,000. Adding this to the net position at the beginning of the fiscal year, we end up with a net position at the end of the period of $518,399,000. Here we've got a condensed summary of revenues and expenses on the flow of funds. This is in accordance with our bond ordinance, and I'll be reporting on the January year-to-date column, that middle column. So we got operating revenues of $69,459,000. Other revenues came in at $8,605,000. For total gross revenues of $78,064,000. We then back out the fuel and the Southwest Regional Water Authority contributions of $22,568,000 and arrive at adjusted gross revenues of $55,495,000. This is the basis for the city's 10% cash transfer calculation. So the city is entitled to $5,549,000 off of that. We then back out other requirements for O&M, non-operating expenses, and debt service of $45,726,000 and arrive at a balance available after requirements of $9,769,000. We then back out the total cash utility benefit to the city of Brownsville of that $5,549,000, and we arrive at a balance available for internal transfers of $4,220,000. Off of that $4.2 million, we did do some internal transfers of $1,825,000 for the CIP and reserve accounts, leaving a balance to replenish the improvement fund of $2,394,000, representing the debt service coverage of 1.96 times. That concludes my presentation. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Hey, Mike, on the operating revenues, that variance, that's because of
Here in the comparison to the year-to-date budget,
Yeah, that's not volume, it's more of a,
Well, we did see base revenues were under budget by 3 million, and fuel was under by 9.8. So the majority of that difference of 12.9 is the fuel, which we see there, the 9.7 million. Those come in pair, so it's a pass-through.
I'm sorry, but I was talking about the 12.7?
Right,
Is that what you're saying?
that's what I'm saying. It's 3 million less in base revenues compared to budget. And the reason for that, because we are tracking unit sales, and unit sales are above last year's levels. But the reason that we're seeing a decrease of 3 million is really because the revenues that BPUB generates are seasonal. Most of the revenue is going to come in during the summer. So, but when we compare to budget, we're just taking 1/12, in this case, 4/12, 1/3
You don't do a
of the annual
seasonal
budget. No, we don't have that capability just yet. It's easier for us to do on the revenue side, but not on the expense side. And if we do that just for the revenue, not the expense, then really our debt service coverage is going to be fluctuating every single month
Okay,
on the budget side. So that's why we don't do that. But that's the big reason. But unit sales are above last year's levels.
Yeah, I don't have any questions.
okay. All righty, we'll go on to item number 2, presentation, discussion of the annual comprehensive financial report for the period ending September 30th, 2025.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. So the firm of Burton McCumber and Longoria audited BPUB's financial statements for the fiscal year ending September 30, 2025. In their opinion, the financial statements were presented fairly in all material aspects in accordance with U.S. generally accepted auditing standards and government auditing standards, earning the BPUB an unmodified opinion, in essence, a clean opinion. So here with us today, we have Mr. Jose Diaz, Audit Manager with Burton McCumber, which will provide the Finance Committee with their communications to governance and their audit opinions and findings related to BPUB's fiscal year 2025 audit. Mr. Diaz?
Good afternoon, Board. Once again, thank you for having us as your auditors one more year. So, like Mike said, I'm going to go over our communications to government and our opinions. So first, I mean, that was our team. I'm going to start communications with governance. So this is what we are required to come and disclose to governance related to our audit. So there was a new GASB policy adopted for 2025, specifically compensated absences, which is a new model in presenting the amount of estimated compensated absences that the entity is going to have. Comparison to last year, only hours that were owed for sick leave and vacation were estimated. For the current year, additions, the FICA taxes, the employer share of FICA taxes, estimated pension that needs to be paid, so that needed to be included as well. So the inclusion of that created an $843,000 prior period adjustment, which you see there described in footnote 17. So that's a new accounting policy and a change as compared to the 2024 presentation. Sensitive estimates in the financial statements include unbilled revenue, allowance for doubtful accounts, depreciation on capital assets, estimated cost on capital contributions, estimated self-insurance claims, and the net pension and OPEB, right? So these are estimates that are included in the financials for the financial statements that are sensitive for BPUB.
Can I ask a question there?
Yes.
Quick, 'cause I'm not, if you go back, I just don't know about this stuff. Okay.
Yes.
So, on your footnote number 17,
Yes.
okay, so did are we talking about like paid you said absences, I'm thinking like sick leave, am I on the right track of that?
Yes. Vacation and sick leave.
Okay, are you saying that that we had to accrue for 843,000 and we weren't doing that before, or what?
Well, it's the requirement of the standard. So GASB requires compensated absences to be included in the financials, and this year they had a change that caused that to include, right? So in prior years it was included, but the requirement was just estimated based on hours earned. So if the employees had 80 hours accrued. They would just accrue it was required to only estimate the hours portion. This year, the new standard required that to expand on that, so it required to add additional liability that's going to be owed when paid. So for those hours, what was added was the employer share of taxes that are paid and the pension, right? So it's an additional about 14%, right? So that's the reason for the addition.
So you had to do a year-end adjusting entry in this amount?
This management didn't perform that yet. So we didn't provide adjustments. This is something that management did, and then we came and checked against the new GASB, right? So it was updated by them, and because the GASB required a prior period adjustment to fix beginning balance years, that's why 2024 had to be updated.
Okay, all right, thank
Okay.
you.
Okay. So the next one, our communications. Basically, this is our report card. So we had no difficulties encountered with it during the audit. Like everything we asked was provided, questions were answered, right? We know of no uncorrected misstatements. There were no disagreements with management, and we have no reportable findings on the financial statements. For 2025, we have something that's new in this year that's not in 2024. So we were required to include a single audit on federal awards. So for 2025, the requirement was 1 million spent in federal funds. So as you can see, the two grants that we tested are above that. So it was, and we went ahead and performed our single audit on those two. So a single audit is basically a compliance audit on the usage of those funds, and each fund has separate compliance requirements, which we tested on both of them. We have internal controls and then compliance over the requirements, right? So we tested the WaterSmart program and also the ARPA funds, which totaled close to 10 million in federal funds. So in those testings, we have no findings regarding the compliance requirements, internal controls, or anything related. So on that, we also had a clean opinion, right? So yeah, so on the next one, our auditor's opinion. So again, we have 3 of them. We have our financial statement finding. Like Mike said, we have an unmodified opinion, which means a clean opinion. We have no exceptions on the numbers that are being presented. We have no reportable findings on our gas report, right? Which this is just stating compliance requirements requiring to governmental type entities. And as I just explained, the single audit report on compliance on federal funds used. Again, we had no findings and a clean opinion on this one. And that concludes my presentation.
No, I mean, congratulations, Mike, to you and all the accounting staff. I mean, it was like a very clean report, right? Good work. Anybody have any?
No questions, thank you.
I would love to say this is surprising, but kind of come to expect it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very
Okay.
much.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, item number 3, presentation, discussion, and possible recommendation to review and update the Finance Committee Charter.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the board, members of the committee. So the Finance Committee Charter is required to be reviewed and updated annually. The Finance Committee Charter has been reviewed by General Counsel, the Chief Financial Officer, and the Director of Finance, who have made recommended changes. Attached to your binder, you'll find the red line version for your consideration. If the committee members have additional recommendations, they will be incorporated into the charter and presented to the Regulatory and Policy Committee at their next meeting. All board committee charters will subsequently be presented to the full board for consideration and possible approval of each date. So more likely around April.
Okay, I'll present it to the full board. Okay. Questions? No questions.
No questions?
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Item number 4, presentation, discussion on possible recommendation on the Brownsville Public Utilities Board property insurance.
Good afternoon, Chair, members of the Finance Committee. My name is Estrella Solórzano, and I am the Director of Customer and Support Services for BPUB. Under the support function of my role, I do oversee the procurement of BPUB's both property and liability insurances. Today, I am here to present to you our property insurance renewal. Available via our WebEx is BPUB's insurance consultant, Arthur J. Gallagher Risk Management Services, Managing Director Paul Pozon, and risk and insurance consultant Austin Stubbs. They have prepared a presentation which is available in your packet and can be presented to you today, or can assist in answering any questions at the end of my briefing. We would leave it up to the board at that point, or to the committee, I apologize. BPUB began the request for proposals for property insurance for policy year 2026 with an advertisement to submit proposals. The advertisement ran on December 13th and on December 20th on the Brownsville Herald as well as the BPUB website. It was available for 6.5 weeks. The invitation to submit proposals was sent to a total of 6 different vendors. Our current policy expires on April 1st, 2026, so we normally come to the board in the month of March. The request for proposals for this year, we did have a 3.65% increase in our schedule of values, our total assets that are insured. That's due to inflation. We also had a request for an increase in coverage of 20% in our policy limits. This is a favorable, we currently are in a favorable market conditions or experiencing favorable market conditions, so it's a great opportunity to request additional coverage as our values are increasing. We've had the same amount of coverage for the last couple of years. So only one broker, Marsh USA, they are our current broker today, submitted a proposal for consideration with a not-to-exceed number of 2.6 million. They also submitted a program which shows a potential decrease of 4.48% or $115,956. The program was included in your packet for review, and we can answer any questions regarding the program if you have any. The proposal was analyzed by BPUB's insurance consultant and met the requested specifications. Please note that the premium is prorated. SRWA has its own financials, so we do go to the SRWA board and request approval of their portion of the premium, and then we go to the BPUB board to request approval of their portion of the premium. In this case, BPUB represents 94% of the total value, so we will be going to the board for consideration and approval of $2,444,000 at a not-to-exceed premium, and to the SRWA board, which represents 6% of the total insured values, at $156,000. BPUB Property and Liability Consultant is recommending the approval of the program with the not-to-exceed premium amount. Please note, we are having ongoing negotiations. So by the time that we actually bind coverage, which would be prior to the April 1st renewal period, we expect an improvement in the terms and conditions of the program, as well as a reduction in the premium, which we've already seen. Because we have to come to the board early, since it's April 1st, our risk profile can change. We might have some different situations happen, so they always provide and we always present a not-to-exceed number. But we are already seeing a better program that has been presented. So at this time, I would ask for, if you would like to hear the presentation, or if you would like me to go over the next steps, or if you have any questions, right?
Yeah, I haven't seen the program. Could you talk about that really quick?
So the program, we insure, our values are over $800 million that we insure. So the risk is divided into multiple carriers. Our markets are in London, they're in different areas. So if you see in your packet, there's an Excel spreadsheet that actually provides specifications as to what each market would cover, because there's differences. So we're trying to have concurrent terms as well. That's part of our negotiations as we're ongoing. You also see some of the red items. The red items are some improvements that have already been presented. So in order to provide you with a little bit more coverage detail, I would more than likely request that we go into closed session, because we're still in the negotiation time.
Yeah, I'm good. I have it here in front of me now, so.
Yes, sir.
I can see.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just question, I mean, do you have any idea why, if I'm reading this correct, that there's only one agency that bid on it?
So the broker currently has one of the biggest markets when it comes to electric utilities, that insures the electric utilities. So because they currently have that market, it's a little bit hard to compete. That's what I would say, right? So we are talking with our insurance consultant on what we can do moving forward to try to improve and get additional brokers to submit a proposal or an actual program that we can bring forth to the board. At this point, we would be going to the board for only 1 year with the option to renew for 2 additional consecutive 1-year periods. But as we continue the negotiations, we'll have more time within the year to bring forth some ideas that we currently have to be able to have more brokers submit a program. Also, there's a lot of carriers, so it's hard to target the markets because a lot of carriers are already taken.
Yeah, I just kind of wonder whether they block all the other carriers, you know, like they've already got the exclusive on them.
So that I cannot confirm, right? But it's something that it's not unusual.
Yeah, it's kind of standard practice, right?
Correct.
I mean, it's nothing, yeah.
I mean, according to their website, they are the world-leading insurance broker and risk advisor.
Well, an additional thing that again, at this point, because we're so close to renewal, I would be coming to the board to approve the program. However, moving forward, we could go out to request an actual broker instead of requesting a program. The RFP was to request a program to submit insurance. So moving forward, we could go and request specifications and qualifications for a broker that we could select, and multiple brokers could submit their qualifications, and then they would go out to the markets, right? So that's a little bit different, but that would be for other years. This year's, we need to move forward with a program. That's how it was RFP'd out.
And how many years have we been with Marshall? Mark,
It's
I'm sorry.
been several, Paul, Austin, do you have that data? I believe it's close to, what?
Like over 5 years?
So this is Paul Poussin. So I've been associated with the BPUB account for 11 years, and it predates me. So
I can't hear what he said. What did he say?
So Paul is he's been with BPUB as the consultant for about 11 years, and Marsh being our broker predates him being our consultant. So it's been multiple years. So again, we have started the discussions of what we can do moving forward if we don't, to allow for more brokers to act. We would actually change it. Instead of going out for a program, we would go out for brokers, select the broker, and that broker would go out. But multiple brokers could submit qualifications, and we would just select the broker.
Okay.
That would be interesting to see this become a little bit more competitive, you know. It's a decent amount of money.
And historically, we have not done that. Paul, you don't have anything in the history of BPUB where we've done that, at least in your tenure? I don't have anything. We've always gone out for a program. But we began the discussions because I recognize that.
that's correct.
I recognize that. So again, internal conversations have started, but in this point, we do need to move forward with the program. So if it's okay for next steps, we are scheduled to go to the SRWA for their portion of the premium on Monday. The approval would be for their prorated amount, and we are scheduled to go to the BPUB board on March 9th for their prorated premium. Now, for the SRWA, the agenda has posted, so I will not be that would go under individual consideration. However, our president is here, right? But for the March board meeting, I am requesting if we can take the item under consent, or if you would prefer that I present it as individual consideration. It's up to you.
I think since there's only one, I think consent is
Yeah.
fine. If there was a process and evaluation, you'd probably bring it up for discussion about, I'm okay with it, it's going for consent.
Yeah, same
You
here.
guys are.
Yeah, I think so.
Perfect. And so not for the SRWA, but yes for because it's too late, right?
Too late, too
So I do want to ask, so moving forward, does the committee also recommend that we explore going out for an RFP for the second year, potentially for a broker, and submit for qualifications? Again, this is something we haven't done before. I would come back to you all and kind of give some information.
I think exploring it, understanding what kind of benefits we might be able to extract from that, yeah, would be interesting.
we could present that, and then we could get a recommendation from you all and move forward that way. Okay, thank you. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul and Austin.
Okay, last item, presentation discussion regarding the continuation of commercial deposit collections.
Oops, sorry about that. Good afternoon, members of the committee. My name is Eddie Campirano, and I'm with the Customer Service Department, and we're going to be talking a little bit about the continuation of commercial deposit collections, which basically is just a fancy way of saying we're resuming an already established process. And so please note when we go through this presentation, we're talking about, or our process is when customers set up accounts, whether they're residential or commercial, we do collect deposits at that time. So these are customers that we've identified that do not have a deposit on file or an inadequate deposit. And we refer to a lot of these accounts as legacy, so they kind of predate established processes and policies where these were established in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and things like that, where the processes weren't as clearly defined as they are today. So kind of maintain that through that lens. So next is just really a snapshot of the Code of Ordinances, that kind of broad strokes, the methodology and the minimum deposit requirements. Below that is our established deposit and credit policy, which goes into a little bit more detail and echoes basically what the city ordinance does say, but it does go in a little bit more detail talking about the types of deposits, which is the acceptable forms of deposits. And again, we're talking about commercial accounts here, not residential accounts. But for commercial accounts, we do accept surety bonds, irrevocable letters of credit, and cash deposits as well. It goes on to mention reduced deposit requirements. And what that means is essentially we offer customers, if they do sign up for ACH, we will take that 2-month deposit requirement and basically cut it in half. And that's something that we've done for quite a while, but it is just, again, written in the policy that gives us the ability to do that. And so all of those options certainly will be extended to these legacy or accounts that do not have a deposit on file. Okay, here's a little bit of a timeline on the commercial deposit collection. In 2019, just right before COVID, staff began an internal review of our commercial deposits, and we did identify at that time accounts with inadequate deposits. And that would be an example, say, if your customers expand operations or things like that, or they just had a minimum deposit on file that's not meeting the ordinance, which is, again, a 2-month requirement. Letters were developed, and we were sending those letters out to customers, identifying and notifying them of what we're trying to do and working with them on different options that are available to them. In March of 2020, we as Brownsville Public Utilities Board, we decided that it was probably best that we halt the collection of those deposits. We wanted to we wanted to ease kind of the financial impacts of that COVID was having on commercial customers. So we kind of throttled back on that process. In March of 2021, the internal auditing department did identify those accounts during an audit of the customer service department that we do have and had commercial accounts with no deposit on there. So fast forwarding to July of 2024, we did have the same finding that was identified by internal auditing. In August of 2024, the customer service, we sought to resume the process of collecting those inadequate deposits from those commercial customers we didn't have on file. Now, there were some discussions that we had internally of interpretation of the ordinance, identifying if there was a possible grandfather clause or something like that we didn't want to overlook before we started reaching out to these customers again. So in May of 2025, we did receive an illegal opinion from Spencer Fain that confirmed that we, BPUB, had an obligation to seek the collection of the deposits, basically abide by the city ordinance for those already established accounts. So currently, we are now in the process of resuming that process. And so what does that look like? And so
I've
yes,
got a quick question.
absolutely.
Because I see this a lot in lots of stuff with our internal audit department.
Mm-hmm.
They had a finding in 2021, great. Then they had to have the same finding in
Correct.
2024 for anything to happen.
Right.
So do we have any color as to why
Absolutely.
we didn't do anything?
So we did return to the office, I believe it was in 2022. So during that time period, that first, I guess, year after that established finding, we were still working from home and we were not resuming the collection process on that. And so we, during that time of return to the office, we did have some organizational changes there and we did not resume. I mean, I think people still kind of feeling the impacts of COVID and still returning back to the office and establishing those processes. And that's actually when we started having the discussions of should we, or do we have the ability to go seek commercial deposits from these customers that some of these actually predated the written ordinance, which was 1971, which the original ordinance was written. And of course, I think there's been some adaptations there, but some of these accounts predated that. So we wanted to make really sure, I mean, of course, after coming back from COVID and settling back in regular business processes, that we could do that. And so that did take some time. And of course, with the organizational changes that we did have. And so as you can kind of track that timeline, here we are.
Okay, so even best case scenario, it was 2 years of not doing anything until the audit department hit you again.
Correct. Again, we did not resume the process based on, from executive management from coming back from COVID. So, but to answer your question, yes.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Okay, so what does the correspondence look like that we're engaging with our customers? And so each one of these will receive an individual letter kind of detailing a little bit about what deposit is required, explaining the basis for the amount, their deposit, basically the amount that's requested from them. And then it does go into further detail about offering that ACH option of cutting the deposit in half should they decide to go that route. Of course, also talking about their options that they have available, which we talked about, the surety bonds, a cash deposit, or a revocable letter of credit. One of the things that we are going to be offering them is, and I'll jump to the next slide, but I will be coming back to this one, is if we do have an installment plan policy, and typically those are reserved for residential customers, but we are going to be offering that as an option to our commercial customers that basically gives them more time. And so it's just another avenue for us to work with them because we obviously understand that this is a financial burden for them that may be unexpected. So we want to basically, let's just call it a payment option plan. And so that gives us the ability to do that. So going back to the previous slide that I did fast forward from, this is essentially what the customers are going to see. And we are giving them...
But there's nothing about a letter of credit on here.
It talks about a little bit further down, I believe in this one.
And I see the surety bond.
Yes, that is an option. And that's something that obviously we will add if it is missing here, but that is an option on the table.
How many customers actually provide a letter of credit or a surety bond?
Not very many. And usually it is our larger customers that typically do that, or large commercial.
Could we assume that it's just because, well, I mean, maybe not in the letter, but also just a lack of understanding of what a surety bond is or what a letter of credit is?
That could possibly be it, but essentially it's still, we do actually have all three forms of deposits on file from customers, and so it's really up to them. But we will make sure to add that option in there that it's outlined in the irrevocable letter of credit. So,
is there any way we can educate our customers?
Absolutely.
On the other two options, so that small mom and pop store doesn't have to lock up the money as a deposit if they can do a letter of credit or something.
Right. So when customers do come in, or however they set up account, which means they can do it online, they can do it over the phone with us by appointment, we do let them know that, hey, these are your options for a deposit. But again, you're exactly correct. Those already established ones that we're going to be seeking collection from, we will be having those discussions with them. And in fact, if you notice the second to last paragraph there, we're allowing them 45 days to just basically contact us back so we can actually go over those options and work with them. So our intention is actually to work one-on-one with these customers.
How many customers?
I'm
sure I beat you to the punch on this one.
That's okay. We're looking at approximately 350 accounts.
Commercial.
Commercial accounts, yes.
I mean, to me, like having letter of credit or surety bond would be a real big pain in the neck. I mean, because you have to audit it. Those things typically expire after a year or two. So if someone's got to be on top of it, you don't aren't on top of it, it just kind of gets away from you. Where if somebody puts cash in there, you can just kind of, a lot easier.
Right.
You know, you got one receipt to put that in the file or whatever, and that's it.
And of course, and just to kind of echo that or
That's a letter of
reiterate
credit
that,
and surety bond, unless you're like a big retailer, a big company, like your company,
right.
right? I mean, that would make sense, but for the small mom and pops, they're not gonna get a letter of credit or surety bond.
Correct.
There's no way.
And that's why we wanted to offer that option about ACH cutting the deposit in half and also an installment plan policy. Because again, you just said it, that usually it's typically the larger accounts that have irrevocable letters of credit or surety bonds. So we wanted to really kind of focus a lot of effort and attention on those small to medium-sized commercial accounts.
So the big question is like, yeah, they get the letter, they just get it, and they say, nah, I'm not gonna pay it.
And then at that point, we will have a little bit, we will reach out to them. You know, we're not going to be heavy-handed with this. We're allowing them kind of 45 days to contact us, and if they don't, we will have some measures in place where we do reach out to them. Last thing we want to do is surprise anyone with this. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Estrella Solorzano, Director of Customer and Support Services, so I oversee the Customer Service Department as well. So I do want to address the findings. I was in the Audit Committee meeting, sir, where I know you're the chair, and you did ask questions in regards to where we're at with any pending findings. I believe you had 3 in Customer Service, which were all resolved, as well as this one. So this one, we have been working on our findings. The internal investigation to determine whether we had to collect or not, because they are old accounts, very tenured customers with BPUB, took some time. So we've been having ongoing conversations. That has not stopped. So I did want to verify that. Also, in the committee meeting, you did request a timeline for resolution. So with that, we will begin sending them out after this conversation. I believe we start on Monday, and that's part of what Eddie can finalize. But because I was in the audit committee, I do want to state this will be ongoing until we receive back the deposits, right? So I don't have a specific timeline. We have to wait for the deposits to come in, and we are giving customers time.
Okay.
So
Thank
I
you.
did want to address the timeline.
So were these 350 so accounts, was it the result of them applying and receiving service during the pandemic, or was this all over the place? for
Before
different reasons?
1971?
Correct. A lot of these
These are just the 1971.
some of these did happen after 1971, but we're talking like 80s. I mean, we call them, like I said, this in the legacy. So these are old.
I don't know where I
Hey,
was when
hey,
you said
hey,
that.
Yeah.
1980 is not old.
So you're saying these customers go back to 19?
They're mature accounts, is what we're looking
These
at.
customers
not
go
that
back to 1971?
Actually, some predate that. Yes.
Like what percentage are
I-
like
it's
over
not a-
50 years old?
I can actually get you that information, and of course we have the comprehensive list in a lot of
I
these.
mean, to be honest with you, to me, I mean, you have a customer that's been paying on time for 50 years, they've been a customer for 50 years, and we're going back and we're saying, oh, by the way, we need a deposit. I mean, I'm not speaking to the ordinance, but I'm just talking about common sense customer service. If I have a customer that's been with me for 50 years and he says, hey, can you waive the stop payment fee? Sure. You've been with me for 50 years, I'm here gonna harass you for a deposit and create all this paperwork.
It would be nice to know if there are any other alternatives.
Is there anything, I
Like,
mean,
is there
especially if
anything
it's a
the board
small
can do?
amount, you
Yeah.
know? Now, if
Right.
but if they got a clean track record, I just don't understand how this is, collecting this deposit from a practical perspective is reducing any type of risk that the utility is undertaking. I just don't see that.
I understand.
For 50 years, I mean, you've been with us for 50 years, paying on time, 30 years, heck, 20 years, you know?
I feel
mean,
like the risk we're taking on by collecting this actually outweighs the risk we're reducing by leaving it be.
Yeah, I think it's.
Now, there are a couple companies that, you know, we want to shut
But it's
off.
50 years, but it's a 50-year company, and we
Yeah.
have that option. Hey, you don't pay, shut it off. Okay? I agree that, I think legally, we have to find an easier path that has a lot of less friction on our customers, but also on us. I mean, it seems like we're gonna be doing a lot of work for nothing,
Yeah.
to me. I mean, you wanna, I'd like to cut bureaucracy and, you know, and all this other kind of stuff. I agree with the finding, don't get me wrong, but I'm thinking about solutions. you know, unless there's something in the data that says, no, we can't do that because it's unfair, or there's some issues that are something.
Yeah,
But let's just make sure that we've exhausted all the other practical alternatives. I don't know.
And those are discussions that we've actually had. And so I think the intention behind it was essentially evenly applying and fairly applying the ordinance as it applies. But these are certainly discussions that we can continue to have.
Right, I really want to push on that. A 50-year customer is different than a one-year customer. And the risk to the organization, I think, is more significant getting into trouble with an old customer than, you know.
If I'm a 50-year customer and you're sending me a letter like this, I'm kind of scratching my head.
Yeah.
Right. And some of these are not 50, some of them are a little bit less, but nonetheless, these are our established accounts. I think somebody mentioned during the pandemic. So during the pandemic, if we were treating those accounts that were getting set up just like everybody else, so we were collecting deposits. So the process didn't change during the pandemic. The only process that did change was actually the collection of these accounts. So I want to make that clear.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
Continue.
so we have to do this because of the ordinance?
Correct. Again, I guess offline, we can also share the opinion that we did get, but again, we can kind of further
I mean,
discuss.
at worst, I
options.
wouldn't mind it coming to the board and saying, hey, maybe the board is able to, you know, waive some of this. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
if-
or we
if
can
we haven't collected it,
make a
deposit it.
recommendation.
Well, but this is not revenue generating either. This is a lot of work to not generate revenue.
It's a cost. It's not.
Yeah, so I don't see
Unless
it
they
as
don't
a
pay,
win.
but the chances of 50-year customer not paying, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, and I know it's the ordinance, but to be honest with you, we haven't been in compliance here for, 5 or 6 years, probably longer than that, 50 years is okay, or whenever the ordinance came into being. Waiting another month, I don't think it's, you know, it's like, it's a drop in the bucket. I think going back and really talking to legal counsel and saying, okay, how can we come up with a better, more practical solution for these customers that's legal, I think would be a good idea. And the city passed the ordinance on the deposits, right?
Correct, yes.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
the
and
tricky
there's, my understanding is that they are gonna have the charter review committee. So this would be like a good one for them to evaluate,
It's part of a charter, I don't know.
right? It's an ordinance. They can maybe make
Oh,
a
oh.
recommendation,
At the city, not
at the
our-
ordinance
Correct, yeah,
level,
the city.
change it
I
there,
guess-
yeah.
I guess when I read this here, though, and again, the first time I'm seeing this, I'm sorry. but
That's
it
okay.
says, "The deposit for non-resident service shall be the amount equal to the charges for an average 2-month period unless the applicant complies with rules and regulations concerning credit established by PUB board. The minimum deposit, and then it says the minimum deposit for non-residential electric service shall be $200, right? But I'm kind of looking at that, I don't know how that can be interpreted, but it says, you know, it's going back to us saying, right, unless they comply with rules and regulations concerning credit.
And maybe we
Does
can,
that apply to everything? So, like, for me, if you're telling me 50-year customer pays on time, 20-year customer pays on time, can we just put them, they establish a credit, then this is something that we can look at, unless that's just pertaining to the minimum amount.
Correct.
Maybe
And
you
so-
wanna, did you have a comment, or?
Okay, the ordinance.
How many?
Okay.
So the 1,090 also includes accounts that are established or opened by contractors. So say, for instance, if you're a contractor and you're building a house, we don't typically collect deposits on those, but they are a commercial entity. There's also like realty companies where they're showing a house and it's up for sale. We do not collect deposits on those, but they are shown as commercial accounts that with no deposit, because we have no intention of collecting those because those are temporary service. And so,
But those accounts close, don't they? I mean,
They do, and for that reason, that's exactly why we do not seek collection of deposits for those type of accounts. And also, some of these are garbage-only accounts, or CSER, which is only customer service accounts, things like that.
Is
So,
that an official policy written down?
no, we do have it in our work instruction that goes into really granular detail about who we collect and who we don't. So those 350 accounts are removing all of those realty companies, the contractors, CSER are garbage-only services, things like that, who do not have electric or water or wastewater services through us. So actually, a more refined list is in the neighborhood of about 350. I think it's technically like 342, something like
So
that.
with all of this feedback here, right, I mean, what do you recommend? Because you have a planner to move forward, but
Correct.
based on our feedback, do you want to continue on that path, or do you want to do something else?
I think we can certainly rehuddle and discuss certainly what our legal options are. I know that we did receive that opinion from Spencer Fain, and we can share that opinion with the board. And we can possibly look into other avenues to provide some sort of resolution or options to our customers.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, I don't want to go too far on the other side, but I imagine we've been holding cash for a while, right, for the deposits.
Correct.
I would say that there may be, assuming that we're going to take some action, I mean, I'd be interested in exploring even giving money back, right, to some of these businesses. So yeah, I would recommend you hold off from the plan on Monday, if it can be stopped.
Yes, it's an administrative process as far as
Yeah.
at this point, so we can certainly do that.
Yeah, so that's what I
I think
would,
it's a little sensitive issue, right? Sometimes these issues that we think are small end up being a little bit bigger, right? I think we're just going to make sure that we look at all the opportunities that we can serve these customers a little bit better without necessarily adding risk to the utility. And so I think it's probably worth to go back, and if you come back with the exact same recommendation after, I know you've already looked at it, it's obviously y'all prepared for this, but if you come back and you say, this is it, then at least we know that, we did we fulfilled our responsibility in making sure that, we didn't leave any stone unturned, and, in trying to make this landing as soft as possible. Because again, if I'm a customer for 10 years and you ask me for a deposit, I'm just gonna be like, seriously, right now with, cost of, what the price of beef is,
Mhm.
I mean, this is another thing that I'm doing. I've been paying this bill on time. It's just, but if that's the way it has to be that way. But we just really want to make sure that we explore all opportunities and avenues that, where we can make it easier for the customer, and at the same time, not adding risk to the utility. That's what we want to do.
I mean, to use two completely, unassociated examples, but imagine shutting off power to Rutledge Burger because they didn't pay their deposit, and they've been in business since the 30s?
Oh, it's been a hot
Something like
minute,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, or, the Camille Leitner Playhouse,
Mhm.
it's been in business since the 60s. Like, I don't see that as viable, so, yeah, I'm glad Al brought that up. I did not realize this was the, 50, 60-year-old customers.
So,
Some of them, yes.
and if there's anything, I would explore that credit policy thing. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. Maybe it's a dead end. But I don't know what the credit policy
Right.
is.
I do know
And
that
if you
some
have it here-
utilities.
You have it right here, right?
Correct. I do know some that utilities actually do credit-based, like they actually run credit scores and things like that, and to establish what their liability is. We are not that type of entity.
If we have people for 50 years, we can say we ran our credit score, our own internal credit.
We do
score,
actually have an
and that's,
internal process, but
they come out pretty good, I think, 50, 60 years of established payment.
Okay. So, do you have anything else to add to the presentation?
no, just to note that we will, halt this and continue our discussions and dialogue and see what other options are possibly available, and we'll revisit this with you.
yeah, if you can have something like, how much money are we holding now? How long, has that been accrue, or I guess accumulating?
Right.
And what actual risks have we had, right? What accounts didn't pay, that we had to use, you know, their deposit. I think that'll give us, you know, more information.
We do have that information available, and we'd be happy to share that.
You know, I remember you gave us an example, probably, I think, with our joint meeting with the city commission, where, you know, somebody who's, I think, around for 20 years, you know, quit and stuck us with, you know, a 3-month bill or something like that. And so having that information so we can look at the, you know, risks and, you know, to us as well as what it costs our customers
Right.
would be useful.
And I know we don't want to turn off power, but it's easy. Someone's late 2 months, they don't have a deposit, pull it.
Mm.
And here's other ways, you know, it's like, you know, we're requiring everybody to do this when there's only a few people that are actually doing the damage. Just
Well,
address,
that would be useful to know.
let's
is it-
address the few and not
Yeah.
punish all the others. But thank you very much for bringing this up, okay? And then we look forward to what you come up with.
Okay, thank you.
And 1980 is not old.
Agreed. Thank you.
Yeah, and I guess last thing is look at what other utilities are doing, maybe as examples. Even if our ordinance isn't aligned to it yet, that may also help us, you know, just understand what others are doing.
Correct.
So we can compare.
We have done some legwork on that.
Okay.
So we did engage with APPA and other APPA members, and essentially we're mirroring what they do. I think by and large, it is by and large, it's a 24-month deposit, and they're collecting it. Now, there are some utilities that do refund the deposit after some time, but many, such as us, do not. So
Yeah.
it just kind of depends on the utility. But for the most part, we're right in line with what other municipalities are doing.
That's what I
Yeah.
personally would be interested in learning about, is how we can give some of that money back after 10 years or whatever the duration may be.
All right.
Yep.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think that's all on our agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.